Yeah, hi everyone, good evening. Yeah, I hope you all are doing good and your studies are going well. Yeah, okay, a quick attendance, everyone. Also, let me know who all are from 1.0 and who all are from 2.0. 1.0 and 2.0. Yeah, yeah, good evening. Yeah, I'm really sorry, there was a last minute something came up, right, and I had to push the class for like 15 minutes. I'm really sorry for that. I was ready, but something happened, something very urgent happened, and I had to do that and could not start. Yeah, okay, so let's get back to our discussion. We were discussing Morgan Empire. Okay, is everyone here? Audio, video, all fine. Titan 1.5, somewhere in between. Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar is our Chandrasekhar limit. Chandrasekhar. He's somewhere in between. Do you know what is Chandrasekhar limit? There is a concept called Chandrasekhar limit. Yeah, Chandrasekhar, you must be knowing your limit. Yeah, okay, so let's start. Ready? Ready to go? All fine? Okay, awesome. Okay, let's start. So what were we discussing? So we were talking about a phase which roughly starts from 325, roughly 325 BC and goes till 200, roughly 200 BC. The real number is slightly different, 185, but yeah, 200 BC. So this is Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. Just before this, we had discussed Mahajanapadas, and we got to understand the rise of Magad, followed by rise of Achaemenid Empire, right? And the decline of Achaemenid Empire was again around this point by Alexander. Right, and then we were discussing Mauryan Empire. We understood that the initial phase was Chandragupta Maurya, then there was Bindusara, and then we were talking about Ashoka, right? Roughly around 260 or 268 BC or 270 BC. Again, these years are not at all important. It's just that we are studying. So something stays in our mind. Yeah, roughly around 368. Sorry, 268 BC. What happened? Who is Archita? Arey, just a second. Very very important one thing. Oh, thank you for reminding. I forgot to tell you something. You know this last minute thing. Just a second. I have the names of Titan 2.0 top performers. Yeah, top performers of the test, Titan 2.0 weekly test 03. Kanika Sharma 90.74. Adesh Kumar, you deserve to be here. I'm sorry, I should have placed the slide here, but let's manage for this thing. So Kanika Sharma, right? Congratulations, Kanika Sharma, right? And Abdesh Kumar. Kanika Sharma has top 3 I'm writing. Rest I take names. 88 marks Abdesh and 90.74 is Kanika. 88.08. And then 76.08 is your Zareen Ansari. Very good. Okay. And then Abhishek Kumar 74.1, Pranjal Pandey 74.08, Ayush Bharadwaj 65.4, Sunita Soumya 64.78, Gauri B 64.14, Deep Rajde 60.78, Aditya Kumar 59.36. Very good guys. है ना? Yeah, please keep learning, keep practicing. Congratulations to all of you. Right? And I'm sorry I should have placed the slides over here, but no issues. Also, I don't have the names of Titan 1.2. Maybe by tomorrow I'll have those names as well. Right? If there is any. Maybe you guys didn't give the test. No, you must have given the test. By tomorrow I'll be getting that list as well. Okay, so yeah. सर टाइटन 1.0 और संकल्प के भी जो है सारी लिस्ट मेरे पास शायद नहीं है 1.2 2.0 बोथ प्लीज एक बार चेक करिएगा ओके सो मैंने मांग लिया है ना रियली सॉरी टाइटन 1.0 का नहीं मेरे पास बट हाँ आप लोगों को बहुत बहुत मुबारक जो लोग भी टॉप में हैं तो 90 इज रियली गुड आई एम श्योर जो है आप और अच्छा करोगे आगे चलिए ओके चलो यहाँ से शुरू करते हैं अच्छा you all know the result very good okay let's get back so now so we were discussing Ashoka 268 BC roughly and Ashoka came into picture and Ashoka at some point roughly around 260 he was having a battle with Kalinga and there he had embraced Buddhism. Right now, after Buddhism, we understood that there was a concept which he built. Right, he came up with a new concept similar to Dhamma Buddha, which was his Dhamma lipi, right, his Dhamma. So he came up with his Dhamma, and he realized that this Dhamma has to be marketed. This Dhamma has to be told to everyone. Right, and then what started? Initially it was on highway stones. Initially they were on rock edicts. Right, some big stones, some small stones, some major, some minor, and later it was on pillars. Right, and we also saw it was about ethics, ethical conduct. It was about how a society should behave. Right, we understood this part. We realized that it was about what ethical behavior society should follow. It should be about recognition of dignity of the human life, state concern for the welfare. Ashoka was saying that you all are like my child, like my children, like my own children. Right, and so your welfare is important for me. Your happiness is my happiness. Right, and also he was talking about some important traits like compassion, right, some charity, truthfulness, purity, gentleness. Then it also incorporates some element of tolerance. Right, tolerance for the other religions, or basically all religions. It is not like you should try to push your religion over other. Right, you should follow your sect, and there is no issue in following a particular sect, and you should not try to impose your sect on someone else. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's focus on this discussion. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I could not get why you were being congratulated, but congratulations, Archita. Right? There must be something very important and something very important for you at least. So congratulations. I hope you'll do great. You'll be selected soon. Okay, let's get back to our discussion. Okay, and this is the thread key. Why this discussion is happening? Okay, so ethical conduct. So what we realized that it was about ethics. Also, it's about tolerance, right? And we get to see a lot of religious tolerance over here. That Ashoka is fine. Ashoka is fine having multiple religions in his state, and he wants everybody to respect each other. And not only respect each other, but also respect each other's sentiments towards their religion. He did not be imposing. Ashoka didn't try to impose Buddhism on everyone. No, it was not like that. The king is following Buddhism, so now everybody should follow Buddhism. No, that was not the case. Right? To all religion. In fact, one more element of tolerance we saw that we realized that he was also very, you can say, tolerant when it comes to language and all. Right? So, major part he was using Brahmi. Right? But here he was writing in Kharoshti script. Aramaic language and Kharoshti script. Why? Because this is Gandhara Cambodia. This was under Achaemenids. So their whole culture has, is changed now. Right? Similarly, in this part, Afghanistan part, Kandahar part, we will find not only Aramaic, but we'll also find Greek. Right? So we are observing that tolerance is not only with respect to a particular religion, but also with respect to language. In fact, if we talk about historical significance, here only we can discuss the historical significance of Ashoka. Historical significance. Or if somebody says that why Ashoka should be called as great, right? Historical significance of Ashoka. Then we can talk about a lot of things, which includes, one is religious tolerance, so basically total tolerance. And again, as we have discussed, it not only talks about religion, but also talks about languages, and now we know why. Right? Second, if we talk about historical significance of Ashoka, we can talk about unification. Unification of India. Right? Unification of India at multiple levels. First of all, and most importantly, what? Political unification. Second, philosophical unification. Unification based on language. Whole country is studying Brahmi script, right? So Brahmi has, came out as a common language, common script technically, not language. So Brahmi is coming out as a common script, and everywhere he's using Prakrit and Brahmi. So he has also, you can say, unified the whole country on the basis of language. Other than that, his contribution in architecture, culture, culture / architecture. Right? He's the one from where we will see cave architecture. Achha, by the way, one more example we can add over here. I've not taught it yet, but he had donated caves to a different sect, Ajivika. Right? During his time, there's a donation of caves to Ajivika sect. Why? Not Buddhism, but Ajivika. Why? We're not very sure why only Ajivika. But his father was following Ajivika. Right? So he had donated some caves, Barabar caves technically, Barabar caves. Right? I'll show you how it looks like. So a new concept of cave architecture started from here. Right? Also, why only cave? No. We saw pillars. We heard he has installed some 84,000 stupas. So I'll come back to this part, right? How all these things look like, and also sculpture. But for now, you can note this down. When you talk about historical significance, right? You can talk about all these things. Right? So political unification is one thing, but other than that, cultural aspect, then the philosophical unification, language, right? Tolerance, all these things you can discuss over here. There are a number of things, For example, not only culture, but spread of culture. The spread of culture in South India. This is our last topic. And the spread of not only culture but ideas, new things. Right, so this part I have yet to we are yet to study all this, but you can note this down. And because of all these things, because of all these contributions, we can assume that historically he's very, very significant. Yeah, coming back. So this part we have done. Coming back. So we are discussing various rock edicts, right? So few rock edicts which are very, very important, right? We'll talk about that. Okay. One thing before we get back. So we also realize that though he is following Buddhism now, right? He has decided that he will not do any war in future. So yes, there will be no war, right? But overall his policies are still practical. For example, he will continue to keep a very, very strong army, right? He will continue to retain your Kalinga, right? Suppose if after that brutal war of Kalinga, somebody felt very, very bad, so what he can do, he can say that, okay, I'm really sorry whatever happened in Kalinga, you can keep your Kalinga. Somebody who was regretting his decision of fighting with Kalinga could have liberated Kalinga, basically had given back Kalinga, but he had retained Kalinga because it was practical, it was required. Understood? Also he's still having his army. He still threatens that if in case you are not following my Dhamma, then there will be consequences. Are you getting what? You have to follow Dhamma, so there will be consequences. You can be punished. So it is not like the state is of a monk now, and monk is meditating, and he's not caring what is happening. No, he's very much into administration. He's deep into administration, be it judiciary, be it executive, be it anything, be it economy. Right? So we understand the whole administration today. But before we move to the next topic, I just wanted to show you some edicts, right? Though we'll be talking about the same in culture, but still, because we are studying modern empire, and I want to emboss this discussion. I want you to understand how important this modern empire is, right? And a modern empire is the first empire, which is pan-India empire, which is subcontinental empire. Are you getting it? So now, that is the reason we'll be studying this. So now the pillar edicts you see, also this is a favorite topic, right? Yeah. So pillar edicts. So there are so many pillar edicts like Loria Araj, Loria, Nandangad, Rampurwa. Now Rampurwa has bull capital, like this bull. This bull right now is in our parliament. Right, it has bull capital. Now then there is Nigali Sagar, Sarnath, we have a capital at Sarnath, then Topra Meerut. Now there were two capitals at Topra Meerut, there were two pillars at Topra Meerut, which was shifted by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. They were taken to Delhi. Right, now let me tell you how a pillar looks like. Right, this one. So let's try making it. The pillar is technically this is first of all monolithic. This something like this. Okay. So now, first of all, this is monolithic. This shaft. This shaft is monolithic. It's one stone, right? Monolithic. Plus, it is a very smooth, polished shaft. Right? It's a very smooth, well polished shaft. Right? Also, it's tapering. Most importantly, there is no base as such. No base. Now, why you're saying that why do we need a base? So technically, the Achaemenid pillars, they had a base or lotus over it. It was like a pillar coming out of lotus. Right? But here you will not find any base. So there is no base as such. Also, this is your inverted lotus. Right? Inverted lotus. Achaemenid pillar has the same, but in the base. Right? Similarly, this stand, this is abacus. And this is your sculpture, some animal, which had some meaning in Buddhism. Right? It can be lion, it can be horse, it can be bull, something related to Buddhism. And then here we had some writing system, inscription, edict. Right? And something what Ashoka had written. So yeah, coming back. So there are few pillars where they have not written anything. There are few pillars where there is hardly anything, nothing written, like bull capital at Rampurwa, land capital at Vaishali, Kullam Pilam, like it is without capital. Understood? Right? Yeah, so there are few, but let me tell you more. Yeah, so these are the meanings. Suppose lotus. So lotus basically means purity. Lion is basically, lion denotes what? We have discussed this in Buddhism as well. Lion is technically Buddha, Sakya Sinha. Right? If it is horse, then horse means what? Mahabhinish Kraman, right? Buddha is living. That is horse. If it is bull is fertility. Bull is also birth of Buddha, right? So that is all bull. So all these, capital, basically all these animals will have some meaning, right? And then there are these things as well. What is written? What is the meaning of it? Now again, few important edicts which we need to discuss. Yeah. Okay. So there is one edict in Allahabad, Kaushambi or Allahabad Kosam edict. This is also called as Queen's edict. Queen's edict. There are two messages actually. One is that there are the queens of Ashoka who are donating some mangrove to monks. So donating some mangrove, right? So it is talking about some kind of donation. Also, it also talks about schism. What is schism? Ashoka was against any type of schism. Ashoka was against, if there is a religion, people should follow that religion. They should not create branches out of that religion. There should be no split. There should be no schism, right? So this is also schism edict, where Ashoka is warning against, creating a schism. Additionally, Allahabad, this pillar was later on used by Samudragupta. Right, this was later utilized by Samudragupta. So he has written his story there. Right, and he has also written so many things. He realized that this pillar is of Ashoka, so many things, queen and also many things are written over here. I write my story here. And that is Prayag or Shasti. We'll talk about this when we discuss Samudragupta. Then similarly, Jahangir took it and placed it in Allahabad fort. Jahangir. So these two legends are also associated with Allahabad Kosam pillar. So this one is important. Kosam or Allahabad Kosam pillar is important. Second is important. This Girnar inscription. Right, I'm just marking it. We'll discuss later. Right, I'll show you what it is there, what it is about. Now, then again, Kandhar, right? Kandhar is known for Greek and Aramaic, both languages. So in this pillar, both the languages were used. Similarly, your Manchera and Shahbazgari. Now you know what I'm going to write. So here you'll find what? Kharoshthi script, Aramaic language. Why? We know why. Aramaic script, because this was the part of, for a very long time, right? For almost 200 years, this was the part of Achaemenid Empire. It would be great if you can make a rough diagram in your copy, right? It will be super helpful. Please note. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now there is Lori Nandangoda. This is Lori Nandangoda. This is Rampurwa, right? Bull. This is bull. Okay, again. Then next you should mark this one, Rumandai. This basically marks the birth of this place, marks the birth of Buddha. Right, Rumandai. This is in Nepal. Ashoka actually visited this place. Ashoka had come to this place, and he said that I love this place. You should not be paying taxes. So he made this area tax free. That they should not be paying taxes over here. Right? Yeah. So he removed taxes from here. Then two edicts over here, and see the irony. Jogada and Dhauli. Jogada. Can you see them? These two. Now it says that all men are my children. All men are my children. After all the brutality, all the havoc he brought, right? He said, and we see again nothing against Ashoka. We are discussing in this fashion so that we will be able to retain it. That's it. Dhauli Jogara, Bodharin Kalinga, Bodharin जो है this thing, Odisha. Right. There is one more in Nepal. We can just mark it like this, which is Nigali Sagar. He said that stupa enlargement. It talks about stupa enlargement. Nigali Sagar edit. Okay. So we have mentioned all. One thing more. Right now, let's talk about one more inscription. Very important. It is Sogara, copper plate inscription. And there is one more, Mahasthan inscription. Right now, this is copper plate, right? The Mahasthan inscription. It is not of Ashoka, but this is of Chandragupta Maurya. Both the inscriptions, they talk about that there was some famine. Right, there was a severe famine, and these inscriptions talk about state relief. That there should be some distribution of the distribution of the grains from state granary. right? They talk about state greenery, they talk about distribution of grains from the state greenery, and this tells us that the welfare state is not only on the paper, but this is a real welfare state. It is not that they're only this is for namesake, that's a welfare state, you all are my child, but you can die wherever you want. No, that is not the case, right? It is like, if there is famine, there is a concept of state relief, there is a concept of state greenery from which greenery will be distributed. Though one thing again we would like to add here, that it has to be returned. Right, it has to be taken as a loan, not to be returned immediately, but whenever possible. Right, that is the understanding over here. And you don't have to be, it has not to be returned immediately. Now it has to get like a loan every month. You have to give 12% tax, not 12% interest. That is not the case. As per your convenience, it is understood that you'll be returning this back to the state whenever possible, whenever as per your convenience. Right. So these two inscriptions tells us a lot of things. It also tells us that somebody called Megasthenes was saying that there are no famine. And Megasthenes said that there were no famines, but here we get to know, and there was famine, and then there was state relief. Right, relief provided by the state. Right. So these are basically your important inscriptions. Right. So yeah, so these are important inscriptions. So this is the question which was asked. So now we have already seen them. Okay, let's move ahead. We have already discussed all this. Historical significance we have already discussed. Let's talk about modern administration. Right, please go through all the daily notes, go through this, go through slides once, right? It's not like we are discussing line by line. This is not a line by line commentary. I'm expecting that you will study, right? You'll study at least daily notes, at least daily notes, right? Without fail, at least daily notes. That is bare minimum I'm expecting. Okay. Also, this is helpful if you make a map like this. This will be super helpful, right? Whatever whichever inscriptions you know about, you can make a rough map and then you can answer things, right? For example, the Sierra Gudi, right? You might forget like that, but if you mark it and if you write something about it, at least you'll have some idea. It was somewhere there, something like that, right? So yeah, so let's move ahead. Okay. So let's talk about modern administration. So now it's we must understand that for the very first time, right? For the very first time, we are going to see such a large empire, right? Such a subcontinental empire. The whole of the India is under Ashoka. Now, before we talk about modern administration, whatever knowledge we have about modern administration is based on Arthashastra. Right? It is based upon Arthashastra. It is based upon Arthashastra, and Arthashastra is not about the administration of Magadha Empire, but Arthashastra is about polity, how to govern. Right? It's a generic document. It's like Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant is again about India. No, not exactly Lakshmikant. It's a generic document. How to govern a place, how to have good governance. It is that kind of document. It is not a document which tells you how the Magad was being governed. Are you getting my point? Right? This is not a document which tells you that how the Magad was being governed. It tells you, for example, it says that a king is supposed to divide the whole day in 16 parts. Whole day in 16 parts. That means one part will have 1.5 hours, right? Like 90 minutes. He can sleep for only roughly three parts somewhere. Right? That's it. He cannot sleep more than 3 parts. Right? He can only sleep for 4.5 hours. That's it. And rest of the part, one part he has to attend. Okay. Yeah, is it fine now? Something happened. I stopped after that. Yeah, all fine? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, let's continue. Okay, guys. So I was saying, yeah, the whole day was divided into 16 parts. Right? It was divided into 16 parts, and king was supposed to sleep for only 3 parts, roughly 4.5 hours. That's it, right? He should not go beyond that. And all part had a meaning. That this part he has to meet ministers. This part he has to meet army and audit them. Right? Maybe go out with them. This part he has to keep for getting freshen up. Right? There's a part where he was supposed to go to go for a bath, and during the bath also, because his time is very important. His time is very important, and during the bath also he should be talking to the ministers. Are you getting a point? You must have seen the movies where there's a huge washroom or bathroom, and the king is in his bathtub, and there are ministers sitting around. Right, and you'll find that people do come inside when somebody's taking bath. Right? Why? Because the time is very precious. They can't afford to wait. Raja Sahib, after taking bath, he will come after 1 hour. No, that cannot be the case. He should be always ready. He should be always available. Right? So this is what? This is prescription. Maybe every king will not follow this, but this is prescription that this is how a state has to be managed. Right? We take cue from this, and we understand that somewhere close to this, because there is a lot of information from the other sources, a lot of information from Megasthenes as well, and that is how we know that this should be somewhere close. Right? Not exactly this what Arthashastra or Chanakya is saying, but somewhere close to this. Yeah. Second, source over here is of course Indica, and then our archaeological evidences, whatever we get. So let's talk about modern administration. Again, as I said, it is more like a theoretical. Right? It is more like a theoretical discussion. And please, chat mein open chhod raha hu, right? No, chat does not mean chat, right? Chat does means keep doubt or issue something, right? Chat is not like, this is not Yahoo chat. This is you are inside a chat room and you're chatting. No, this is not that kind of chat. And so yeah, the name chat is actually thoda sa misleading. Okay, anyway, so let's start now. So what Chanakya suggested, Chanakya came up with a theory which is called as Saptang theory. Saptang theory. So Arthashastra, this is again a theory, right? I'm not saying that this is how this state was being administered, but yes, theoretically there is a Saptang theory. Saptang theory. Seven limbs. Saptang theory. Right. Now my point is why we should understand the Saptang theory in detail. Right? Because this is a theoretical discussion of polity. If you understand this theory well, right? If you understand this theory well, you will be able to implement, or basically you will be able to compare the other political structures. Are you getting what? In fact, this is the basic. If you understand this, then you understand all the political part. Right? You can even compare today's constitution with Saptang theory. A lot of things will be there which you can compare. Same structure, same. Actually, every political structure will be similar only. Right? You have to decide how deep you need to go into the structure. Okay, so let's understand. So every structure will have what? Will have a core, right? Every structure will have a king, Swami, president, right? Yeah, six Swami, right? King. Second will have Amatyas. Okay, so let's make something like this. Wait, we're talking about Saptanga theory. Saptanga theory, right? Okay, so now there will be a king. First of all, we must understand the power of the king, right? Again, your constitution starts with president. Your constitution starts with president and the power of the president, right? Then king will have a body, council of ministers, right? Or you can say bureaucracy, right? We'll have a bureaucratic system, a system, right? A proper system. Then after that, this is your central government. This is your central government, right? But then after understanding that there is a center, we need to divide the whole country into provinces. This should be one province. This should be one province. This should be one province. This is another province. Something like that. And every province will have what? Will have another government. So the concept of Janapada, provincial government. Right, same as the constitution. First, constitution talks about your central government. Then it talks about, in another part, it talks about state government. Right, the central government, state government. In fact, in the Janapada, not only state but also municipality. Right, the village, city, state. Right, and so this is the third part. So you can number it. So first, second, and then third. Again, coming back to center. What are things it needs? Other than that, it needs one army. Right, it needs an army. Right, these are people actually. Or instead, we should use this word, Durga. Durga basically means what? Fortification. So technically it means fort. So not only army, but the whole security structure. Right? And so this is the whole fort, basically the whole security structure where all these people will be living, will be providing security to the whole state. Right? Then we need whole treasury. And it comes the fifth part. Fifth is Kosh. So technically Kosh is nothing but you can say economy. Or you can say the fiscal system. Revenue wala part. Right, economy of the state or economy of this king, fiscal system of the king, or the revenue and expenditure of the king. Right, the fifth important part is about Kosh, because for running this machinery, he needs what? He needs money, he needs resources. Right, so this is fifth. Then sixth again, because of this system, you will also require third wing, which is, what do I to make this? Judiciary. Yeah. Right, called as Dand. This is sixth. Right, plus seventh is about diplomatic relationship, DR. So seventh is technically called as Mitra. Mitra, right? Mitra is friend. Outside my empire, who all are my friend? Yeah. So these are the seven systems, or basically the seven limbs, Saptang of the state. Let's start with king, the first part. King. Now, king, we must understand that king is the core, is the source of the power. Are you getting the point? He's the source of the power. King will have a hereditary position. Right? He's the source of power. He's called as Dharma Pravartaka. Right? He will be called as Dharma Pravartaka. Dharma Pravartaka. Technically, who maintains the order. Right? And technically, he is the one who maintains the order. Understood? No, we will have Dharma Shastra. No, we had discussed that there was Dharma Shastra in your later Vedic literature, right? In the Smriti literature, we discussed that there was Dharma Shastra and the judicial system will be based upon Dharma Shastra. So now we see proper judicial system. That's what I'm saying. That you think that a lot of things, we think, I was also under perception before I read all this, that we thought that the judiciary, all these things are the modern system, right? But it is not so. A book written, in modern empire, right? It talks about all these things, that how to maintain revenue. And let's go deep there and understand that it is beyond your imagination. Right, this Kosh or economy or the fiscal system is beyond your imagination. This, judiciary now you can imagine, right? But having a proper a system for diplomacy, that these type of ambassadors will be having tests, very, very interesting, right? So let's get into this discussion. So yeah, so Dharma Pravartaka. So he's called as Dharma Pravartaka, somebody who maintains the social order, right? Who maintains the social order, who gives Raj Sasan, right? And who gives all the royal orders. So basically, in today's world, you will call this as what? Act, bills, or not bills, but act. Right? And this is the law. This is the act which has to be implemented. Right? And also he will maintain. It is said that he will maintain Purana Prakriti. Purana Prakriti again means same thing. Different words. He will maintain the old order, right? He will maintain the order. There will be no chaos. There will be no anarchy. So the duty of the king is to maintain order, right? Ensure that there is order in the society. There is no chaos. There is no anarchy, right? Okay. So now you realize that because he's the core part, he's the core source of power. So all the final calls, right? He's like president today. President is the one who will sign, right? Any act. Finally, a president has to sign to make it as a law. Basically, to actually make a bill into an act, a president has to sign that, right? So without the sign of the president, it is not valid, right? Similarly, all the final calls will be by the king only. Right, plus he should be available at all times. You can write all these things. He should be available at all times. Available. Always. Right, and that was the reason we were discussing those 16 parts. It is assumed that his life is not his life, it is state's life. So technically, it is a public service. Technically, he's not like he's king. So now, we think king is somebody who has to enjoy. It's about luxury, like Dhanananda. Right, now there can be a king who can choose to enjoy, who can say that I don't believe in all this is myth and I will enjoy. I want my dances. Right, and he can say that. Somebody can say that. But this is prescription how a king should behave. He should always be available. Right. Plus, this also talks about welfare. Welfare, and if we define welfare, it also talks about that welfare of the people is important. Right, he has to be paternal. Everything has to be paternal. So again, we can write this word paternal despotism. Right, but don't say despotism because this is a prescription. Let's say paternal. Right, second, he has to ensure that old children, women, and not only them, but old animals. So technically, all the vulnerable section is taken care of. Right, all the vulnerable section has been handled and is being taken care. Right, in fact, this also includes, this also includes welfare. Also includes planting trees, medical care. You think that planting trees is happening today? No, medical care, etc., etc. Well. Digging of well so that you can get drinking water and all. Right, digging of well. All these, this is something is expected out of him. Then, for example, if we quote Ashoka, so Ashoka says that commoner, if you are Aam Aadmi, right, if you are Aam Aadmi, commoners, meet me anytime. Anytime you can come and meet me. Can you really imagine the king of such a big empire saying that you can come and meet me anytime you want? Right, I will not keep you waiting. I will not ask you to wait. I will meet you instantly. Understood? Right. So this shows he's not writing this for the sake of writing, or basically only on the paper and all, but no, it is actually being implemented. He's saying that commoners can meet many times, and he says that all subjects are my children. We've already seen that, right? All subjects are my children. Right? So basically, your welfare or your happiness is something which I desire. Right? Now, few things. So you must also understand that now this king, right? This king, security of such a king who is so valuable, right? Who is having this much power is of utmost importance, right? Very, very important to actually protect this king. If you get such a king who promises all this and who does all this, right? That shows this king is very important and his security is super important to us. And that is the reason. Here Arthashastra talks about bodyguards, right? So he talks about security, checking of the security. He talks about female guards. Right, now the question is why survive female personal guards? There will be a lot of archers, when they can be archers. There can be other archers as well. That question arises, survive female guards, right? Is there some vested interest or something? Is this negative? Actually, what is practical? Female guard is very common with kings. Right, very, very common. In the royal palace, you find lots of female guards. Why? Because king's family is also there, right? And they want to, you can say, they want the women of the family to feel comfortable, right? And that is the reason a woman guard is very common. Right, women guard can be placed anywhere, right? Because the comfort of the females of the family is very, very important, right? So yeah, the female guards and mainly archers and other guards as well. The female guards is very, very common. They are placed here. Also, we talk about system of spies to ensure he's protected. So we also see system of spies. For example, Sanstha. Sanstha are technically stationary spies. Somebody posted somewhere. Stationary. Right, and then there are Sanchara. Sanchara are technically wandering spies. Sanchara, right, they are moving, wandering. Sanstha means Sansthapak, station, so stationary. Sanchara is wandering. So there are multiple types of spies. Then there are more names. Pati Vedikas, Pulisani. And Pulisani. They basically, the connotation over here is, they are news reporter. Right, they report from various places what is happening, how people are feeling. Right, there are kind of special reporters who tell you what is the opinion of the people about you, about your state. Are they happy with the new policy and all? Is there any grievance or something? All these things will be reported by these news reporters. Right, Pati Vedikas and Pulisani. So this is king, right? So we saw that how powerful the king is. That he's the source of all the power. Right, he's Dhamma Pravartaka, or basically somebody who will ensure this order of the society, right? Social order. So this was the first part. Now let's talk about the second part. And again, he's core, he's source of the power. All the final calls will be him. The position is hereditary. He should be available always. And Ashoka says so that commoners can meet me anytime. That all subjects are my children. Right, their happiness are important. This is the welfare state. We see paternal feelings over here. Right, we see that the state is behaving as a parent. So they're talking about planting trees, medical care. Well, right, also the vulnerable section is being taken care of, like old children, women, animals, etc., etc. Right, similarly, we're also talking about security. That security of the king is of utmost importance. Okay, so now let's move forward. Let's talk about. So yeah, so same was implemented over here. Right, I want you to read this. Maybe we have discussed. Second is Amatya. Right, Amatya. So the second important place over here is Amatya. Now Amatya is a very, very generic term. It simply means officer. Right, and a government officer. If somebody says Mahamatya, that means what? Senior officer. If somebody says Dhammamatya means an officer who is meant to propagate Dhamma. So Ashoka had installed, basically hired a particular dedicated officer for the Dhamma. We'll see it later. But yeah, the officers. So let's talk about the bureaucracy part. Let's talk about the system. Right, below Ashoka, we will see a highly centralized bureaucratic system. Right, so in modern empire, the system is highly centralized bureaucratic system. Highly centralized bureaucratic system. That means the power is with the center. You will see a lot of ministers over here who will hold a lot of powers. Right. For example, we will see that there is a proper, below the king there is a proper Mantri Parishad. Mantri Parishad is what? Cabinet ministry. Right, and a council of ministers technically. Council of ministers. Now, council of ministers, you will see that the princes, Yuvaraja, prince. The prince is also important officer. So you will see when Bindusara is ruling, Sushim is also there, Ashoka is also there. Right? Why? As a king, suppose if I'm king, I want my sons to get trained. I want them to understand how to rule. Yeah. Try to assimilate this. I'll be back in 30 seconds. I'm sorry. Okay, so Yuvraj, right, Mantri Parishad. So I would like my sons to get trained into administration, right? Why I want my sons to get trained in administration? First of all, the maximum trust, which I can have, as a king, I can have maximum trust on my own blood, right? Because they are my son, I would like to train them, and they should get trained. They should be very well versed in administration, governance, and everything, right? So they will help me over here. They will help me in my administration, right? Second thing, I will have to train for the next line of command, right? I will be training them. I will train them for becoming king. So one of my son has to become king. So that is the reason I have to train. So this training is important. Other than that, I also want my sons to become governor of the provinces, so that even in those provinces I have my deep penetration. Basically, I have my grasp, right? So for that, these Yuvrajas have to be trained very, very well. These princes have to be trained very, very well. So yes, the Mantri Parishad will find that princes, of course, worthy princes, right? So yeah, the princes have to be part of Mantri Parishad because it is important. Other than that, there is Purohit. Purohit is chief priest, right? Then we will also have the Senapati, commander in chief. Senapati, commander in chief. Right, then we will also have, we can have so many people. For example, one important post is Sannidhata, right? Sannidhata, this is not a minister but an officer. So Sannidhata is technically one who will take care of treasury. So he is technically treasurer, right? And similarly, there is one more post, Samhatta, who is in charge of, he's the head of revenue collection, right? So then after king we have a whole Mantri Parishad. After Swami, we have a proper Mantri Parishad to take care of, and then there are officers below them, right? Then there will be a set of officers. There will be a lot of officers, because only 4% or basically 10%, only cabinet minister cannot or the council of ministers cannot run the whole state. They need IS officers, IPS officers, all those officers to run the state, right? So then it will be followed by a lot of officers. Okay. Now, so one term in officers is very, very common. One term which is Adhyaksh. Today we use this word, right? Adhyaksh. So Adhyaksh, right? Adhyaksh is technically superintendent. So every department, there will be like more than 2 dozens of departments. There are like more than 24 departments, around 27 departments, and every department is being led by a Adhyaksh, right? So you can understand that below this, there are so many departments, there are so many Adhyaksh, and they are dealing with these departments. So this is a highly centralized, heavy bureaucratic system. Right? This is a very, very heavy bureaucratic system. Now you can imagine, sir, what type of departments, right? It's the ancient India state, right? We are still in ancient India. What type of departments we are talking about? Okay, so we'll come to that, right? Other than that, it is also important. It is also important to conduct tests. Right, and this cannot be very random. This hiring cannot be random. You have to conduct tests. Some UPSC, SSC, CGL, right? Some bank PO. Some kind of test should happen. Or basically some kind of aptitude test. Some test should be there right before hiring. So yes, so this book Arthashastra also talks about some kind of test. For example, it talks about Dharmopada Sudha. Right, Dharmopada Sudha. Dharmopada Sudha is a religious test. So suppose if I'm hiring one officer who has to take care of something related to religion, where I want my officer to be non-partisan. I want my officer not to be biased towards a particular religion. So what I will do, I conduct a test. If this person is biased, or if this person is even religious, what kind of religious state this person has, this kind of test has to be conducted. King will see the report. Okay, he's biased, so he should not be hired. Obviously, if he's religious but not biased, so can be hired. So Dharmopada Sudha. Similarly, Arthopada Sudha, money test. Right, somebody who has to be hired as, let's say, a department in treasury. Right, somebody who has to be hired for revenue collection. Right, and he should not be greedy. He should not be corrupt. Right, so there will be money test. Similarly, Kamopada Sudha, love test. Somebody who has to take care of the royal household or the harem of the king. Right, and we need to consider one. We need to conduct one love test. Right, he should not be diverting from his duties and all. Right, second, Bhayopada Sudha, fear test. While hiring for army, you should conduct a fear test. Maybe while seeing the other army or just by the scene of the big army coming towards them, people might run. So before you hire somebody in your army, you should conduct fear test. So there is also test being conducted. Understood? There's also tests being conducted before hiring. So yeah, so there is huge bureaucratic system. Right, they have ministers, and then there are a lot of departments. More than 27 departments. Everywhere you get some Adhyaksh, right? He handles this, he handles this. Now what type of Adhyakshas? So for example, there are officers like Nagaraka. So I'm going through this list just to, we are having this discussion. Basically, we are watching this list just to see what kind of bureaucracy is this, what are things we can expect. Right? Of course, we cannot mug this up right now, but yes. So again, there is a mayor, city administration, right? Nagaraka. Akshantala is your accountant general. Now see, Sita Adhyaksh. Sita is somebody. Sita is Lord's. Goddess Sita. So Sita was found in one agricultural field, right? While flowing, Raja Janak found Sita. So Sita is associated with agriculture. So Sita Adhyaksh is one who supervises agriculture. Right? Panya Adhyaksh, superintendent of commerce. Then Sanstha Adhyaksh, superintendent of market. Similarly, Pautava Adhyaksh, superintendent of weights and measures. And what does this shows? That they have a proper standard weight system. You get your point? They have a standard weight system which is being monitored by some department. It is not like I can go give you, yes, somebody came to you and said that I want to buy, let's say, gold. It cannot be like this much gold or this much gold. No, it has to be some unit. 1 kg of gold, how many grams of gold? So for that you need what? Weights and measures. So there is somebody, Pautava Adhyaksh, who is taking of all this. There is somebody who is ensuring that agriculture is smooth, right? There is steady flow of revenue, there is steady flow of, you can say, greens and all, right? And somebody is ensuring that the crops are being planted. Somebody is ensuring commerce. There are more transactions, so basically more business. Somebody is taking care of market. How to ensure that the market transaction or proper market transactions can happen, right? How to make that smooth. Understood? Similarly, there is Nava Adhyaksh. So they have navy as well. Superintendent of ships. Superintendent collector of tolls. Sula Adhyaksh. Akar Adhyaksh. See, somebody is the head of superintendent of mining. There is a proper department of mining. And in fact, Loha, iron is so important, right? That the iron is a separate department in itself. So there is iron, there is Loha Adhyaksh. Then Bala Adhyaksh is military department. Right? We are just observing, how big this bureaucracy is, how heavy bureaucracy is this. Like Sannidhata Samhatta we have already discussed, right? But the Vyahari, who is Vyahari? Vyahari, if you see, in judiciary you see this, so there is Dharmasthya Nyayalaya, there is civil code, and then there is criminal code. Right? There is a proper civil court. So there is distinction between civil court and criminal court. It is not like there is judiciary, there is civil judiciary, there is criminal judiciary, there is judge for civil judiciary, there is judge for criminal judiciary. Right? This is Kantakshodhan Nyayalaya, this is Dharmasthya Nyayalaya. है ना? Dhamma Mahamantras we are talking about. So the Ashok hired a dedicated person whose job is to ensure the spread of Dhamma. Which Dhamma? Ashoka's Dhamma, not Buddha's Dhamma. Right? है ना? Then there is governor who is in charge of province. Pradeshka, you see, Pradeshka is DM. Pradeshka. Then there are Rajukas like Patwari, etc., etc. Okay, Gopal is basically responsible account. Okay, so okay, let's you can watch this later. Basically go through this. है ना? I don't want you to mug up, but I want you to actually understand. These departments are there. This is important there. Right? है ना? This is the bureaucracy we are talking about. Okay, so now next is provinces. So we have seen the whole central government, we have seen president and the council of ministers, obviously Swami and the council of ministers, and the whole bureaucracy, centralized bureaucratic system, heavy bureaucracy, something which we have observed. Next is Janpadat. Now we are going to talk about provincial administration, right? Provincial administration. So it is not possible, such a big empire, it is not possible to have only one capital, Patliputra, right, and manage the whole state. It is not at all possible. The whole Afghanistan, everything is part of India right now, right? So now we need to have some local capitals, right? So this part will be like one province. Understood? This is here the capital will be Takshila. Takshila capital, one province. Similarly, Ujjain capital, and there will be another province. Right? This is your Avanti Shastra. This is Avanti Shastra. This is Uttarpatha. Uttarpatha. So one province. Right? And similarly, Patliputra part is called as Prachi. Right? This can include this as well. Patliputra. This province is called as Prachi. Right? And Prachi. Then Toshali. So Toshali is here. Toshali. So this part, this part is technically your Kalinga or Eastern province. Kalinga or Eastern province. And then there is Suvarnagiri. Suvarnagiri. And this is your Dakshinapat. Right, and somewhere, if it is extreme south, then the Dakshinapat, extreme north, then the Uttarpat, right, plus Prachi, plus Avanti Shastra. So these are the 5 provinces, right, with their own capital. Now Takshila has to have some governor, otherwise who will manage Takshila? Right, you know? So one province is called as so one province is technically called as, so let's talk about, let's say, Avanti, right? Okay. Avanti, let's assume that this is Avanti. So this is Avanti, right? And this whole province will be called as Chakra. So this is Avanti Chakra, right? Yeah, Chakra, Avanti Chakra. Now Avanti has to be divided into districts. Right? And suppose this is the capital part, this is the Ujjain part. Yeah, so there will be a lot of districts. The district will be called as Ahar, right? Ahar or Vishai, right? Ahar or Vishai. So yeah, so this is again same, all the states. For example, earlier we were talking about central government, president and council of ministers and all. Now we are talking about a state, right? So for example, let's say we are talking about Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh has a capital, Avanti has a capital, Ujjain. Now today we call it a state or Rajya. Then we used to call it as Chakra. Then Avanti and Madhya Pradesh will be divided into districts, right? So these are the districts. Districts will be called as Ahar or Vishai. Now today we have governor in our province. We have a governor. So then also we had what? Rashtrapala. Today also we call them Rashtrapal only. Rashtrapala, or sometimes it was Prince only, Kumar. Makes sense? This was something we were discussing. We had also discussed that Sushim was also the Kumar, or basically prince of a particular state. Ashoka had also gone to Takshila to manage the whole province. So yeah, so Kumar or Rashtrapal will be sitting at the center, right? Sitting at the province and will take care of the whole province. Right? So Kumar and Rashtrapal. Similarly, Ahar will also have some important officers. For example, it will have one is DM, Pradeshika. Pradeshika is like DM. He will take care of the administration. Right? And similarly, there is one more, Rajuka. Rajuka is mainly concerned with revenue. We'll have these officers in every district. Every district will have Pradeshika, will have Rajukas and everything. Right, so such kind of structure we'll be having in the state front. In a particular state, we'll be having this kind of function, this kind of structure. Yeah. Similarly, we'll also find, for example, Ujjain. Ujjain is what? Ujjain is a city. So there will be a proper municipality or town administration. Yeah. We'll look into town administration, but before that, we had discussed this. We are talking about various provinces. Now, as a province, you will have to. A good province is the one who ensures, Yeah. So any state government is the one who actually ensures the welfare of the people. Right? Who ensures that suppose if this is one state, if there is some war, basically if there is some attack from this side, this state has to defend. It is not like they will wait for the center that what to do. No, they will have to defend. Also, they also need to maintain good relationship outside. Right? They have to ensure harmony, not only outside but also inside. They also have to ensure what? Job, employment. Right? They have to ensure that there are proper arable lands, people can do agriculture. There are proper mines, forests, etc., etc. Right? Manageable neighbors, pastures, arable land, mines, forests. So all the duty of the state to ensure that people are happy over it. In fact, there is one inscription here, Girnar. So this is called as Junagadh Rock inscription. Junagadh Rock Edict of Rudradaman. Right? It tells us that at this point, in the modern era, there was a governor called Pushyagupta. Right? Pushyagupta. He's the one who had who had made embankment. There's a lake called Sudarshana Lake. right? So for the people, that lake has to be covered, basically has to be surrounded by the embankment. That kind of construction, that kind of construction is being done, was done during the time of Chandragupta Maurya and then during the time of Ashoka. Understood? Yeah. So yeah, so state is expected to do this. So we're discussing all this. Also, we find that sometimes some villages will be grouped. Why? Because suppose there is one village, and there's another village, right? So it is not possible to have a dedicated officer to go and collect revenue or basically to manage all the villages. So what they will do, they will club like 10 villages, 10 nearby villages. They'll make one cluster and they will put one officer. So Arthashastra also talks about grouping of villages, right? For example, if you group like 800 villages, it is called as Thaniya. If you group 400 villages, it is called as Dronmukha. If you group like 200 villages, it will be called as Kharvatika. If you group 10 villages, and it's written here as well, if you group 10 villages, it will be called as Sangrahana. Right, the grouping is only and only for the purpose of administration, to help the connectivity, or basically to help connecting with those many villages. Somebody has to be appointed, and somebody takes care of all the functions of those particular villages. Yeah, so this is your provincial administration. Now let's talk about the town administration. Right, now one more thing. Let's get back. Again, we're not studying option, so it hardly matters. But still, these rulers. Suppose if I go to Takshila, right, Uttar, they will have some kind of autonomy. For example, how to run this state, they need some type of autonomy. They need to, they should be able to take a lot of decisions. Normally when we say that centralized bureaucratic system, right? Normally when we say that modern empire was a centralized system, general statement, yes, true, it was a centralized, very heavy bureaucratic system, so many officers, right? But it does not mean that the states were not having any kind of autonomy. Reason, it is not possible to manage everything from center, from Patna. It is not possible. So state will have to, the governor of the Takshila will have to have some kind of autonomy, right? Otherwise it will be tough to manage. And for everything, he can't wait for the orders from center. No, it is not possible. Right, so with respect to laws, with respect to management of the borders, etc., they will have to have some autonomy, and that is the reason that you will find that when we were talking about edicts in this area, they had a different type of writing. This also shows what, some kind of decentralization, some kind of autonomy. So normally, yes, it is centralized. Normally, all power is at center. Man, true, but states will have some type of autonomy, some type of decentralization of power is also there. Understood? Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. So now let's talk about the town administration. So now the town administration is very, you can say different or important and very interesting, right? So municipal administration or town administration. So let's see. So when we say municipal administration, we will find that municipality has, when we say there's a town, let's say there's a town, and town is being headed by mayor, right? So let's not write mayor, Nagaraka. So he's a Nagaraka. Name itself suggests that he is Nagaraka. Nagar means what? Nagar means town, right? And we will find very interestingly that there are 6 committees over here. There are 6 committees. Every committee have 5 members, right? Every committee have 5 members, and they will have some dedicated function. For example, again, all these things will sound like this happens today, right? It's very, very modern, right? But yes, first is industrial production, right? Industrial production. So industrial production, it is basically one committee who checks into that. Suppose if I'm an artisan, suppose if I'm creating, let's say, one chariot, right? And as an artisan, let's say I'm creating one chariot, right? I might use a wood which is very cheap, right? And can break very easily. This cart can be very, very dangerous. If this chariot I sell, this will be very, very dangerous. So this industrial production committee, these 5 members of this committee will ensure that raw material which I'm using is amazing, is of true quality, and accordingly the prices are being hit, right? So it is true for today. If you compare it with today, it is more like ISI mark, something similar to ISI mark, right? Somebody is ensuring that the quality of the raw material, and instead of ISI mark, you can write stamping, right? Works, right? So they will check the raw material, and they will stamp, and accordingly the prices has to be fair prices. If the raw material use is not great, right? If it is not amazing, then the price should be accordingly cheap, right? It should be accordingly low. Understood, right? And ISI is standard, right? Today we use some Indian standard something, right? I'm not very sure about the full form, but ISI is common, right? In helmets also we have ISI mark. They don't say ISI, by the way, and don't say that they write ISI, of course, obviously, right? And it is only for our analogy that they use such kind of stamping that this product is okay, good, ISI. Okay, similarly, second committee is about entertainment of foreigners. So second, you can write, second is about foreigners. Now, what does this mean? Now they know that a lot of foreigners are coming to us because they are mainly concerned about the trade, about the business, right? They are related to business, so they should have awesome experience with us, right? Suppose if one if one foreigner is let's say is sick, right, is having fever, then this committee will even send a doctor to that foreigner. All the foreigners will become our brand ambassador. They will go back to their place and they will tell people, this is great and this product is great or something, and I had amazing experience. You also should go there. Basically, we should have this trade and all. So these foreigners are very, very important and they should be treated amazing. It should be amazing treatment. Right? So they are like guests. And today also we feel the same thing, right? If foreigners coming to India, we should ensure that they should have great experience so that they go back and say, India, we had amazing experience. You also should go. For example, my friend had gone to Sri Lanka, right? And he came back and said, we were planning for Goa. And then he said that, my friend, this Sri Lanka, the hospitality is much better than Goa. Right? You should definitely go there. It's cheap and you can go there. Why? Because he had amazing experience. Right? They had not treated foreigner like we should exploit them. Rather in India, you get better treatment in Sri Lanka than any other foreigner, right? So he had given that recommendation. Why? Because he had amazing experience. Same thing. These foreigners should have amazing experience with us. Third committee is about statistics, right? Stat committee. They should know all the important figures like birth, death, even migration and all, right? All these statistics they should know. They should know in our town what is the population, how many kids, how much old and all, right? So census which we see today, which started in in the end of the 19th So it started towards the end of the 19th century, right? They are having such census as well. They are even counting birth and death and everything is being registered here. Understood? Fourth is about market, trade, market regulation. Right. The fourth is more about trade and market regulation. Right. It is more about ensuring that weights and measures, they are not being, there is no wrong method or wrong way or basically wrong measures being followed. Right. And weights and measures. It's more about audit. It is more about audit of the practices, selling practices. It's about weights and all. Same as we have our auditors today, inspectors today, who check that whether market is not following any wrong measure. Okay. Then fifth is about, this is also, by the way, you can also write wrong measures also include holding. There should be no holding as such. It also includes that inventory should be consumed in time. Right. It is like you should sell the articles in such a way that they are not stocking, they are not getting decayed in the inventory. Suppose if I have bananas, right, I should sell the bananas which are of old stock first, so that they don't decay in the store, and then you can say I should go ahead with the fresh stock, like something like that. There should be no holding, and the things should not decay or should not you can say we should not lose them in the storage, right? Something like that. It has to be managed somehow. The market and all, the trade market, all these things have to be managed by this particular committee. Then the fifth committee is about the manufactured articles. Right. This is mainly about manufactured articles. This is also similar to market regulation, but this is not about manufacturing. This is manufactured. There is post-production. Post-production, you are not mixing things. Again, same thing, old and new should not be mixed. Now, the last is about the tax collection. Simple tax collection is simple. Sixth committee ensures that all these artisans who are producing something has to share 1/10 of the price. So 1/10 of the price has to be collected by this sixth committee. So there are 6 committees who are actually ensuring all this. Okay. So what we have seen, right? Okay. So coming back, so we have discussed his cabinet ministry, we have discussed the central part, then we have moved on to the provincial administration. We have figured out the provinces. We understood that how inside the province, how things will be managed. There will be a governor, right? And then the whole province will be divided into districts, right? Ahar or Vishya. Every Ahar or Vishya will have an administrative head, which is the Radeshika, and every district will also have somebody who will handle revenue, that is Rajuka. Similarly, there will be a town administration, somebody who will look after city, and in town administration or municipal administration, we saw that there were 6 types of committees, right? There is another that is city superintendent, right, mayor, but along with that there are 6 committees who are taking care of all the business, all the important transactions inside the city. Understood? Yeah, inside the city things will change. Okay, so again, so municipal administration, now this Patliputra and the committee wala part, it was also confirmed by our Megasthenes. Megasthenes has also observed the same. So the thing is, this is not theoretical, but this is practical as well. This was actually happening in Patna, right? Okay. Coming back to the fourth part, right? Durga. So 3 we have discussed. Coming back to the fourth ang in Saptang theory, that is Durga fortified capital. Right, hai na? Yeah. So they had such a huge, in fact, this territory is bigger than the Nanda's territory, right? So you will find that the army of Chandragupta Maurya or Ashoka is much larger than the Nanda's army. Now just have a look. It's not important how you should know the numbers, but just have a look that now they are having, like, even Chandragupta Maurya is having 6 lakh foot soldiers. This is huge, right? 30,000 cavalrymen and a horseman, 9,000 elephants. This is big, right? Right, 6 lakh soldiers, 30,000 your infantry, and 9,000 soldiers. None of the number is important, right? Don't mug up. Just appreciate how big this army is. Also, they have a navy. Right, now you will find here also they have a similar structure. In the army also they have 6 committees. And simple, just observe, right? No need to write this. But yes, here also they have 6 committees, total 30 members. So 6 cross 5, same structure. Somebody is looking after the navy. Somebody is looking after the infantry. Infantry basically Padadhyaksh, jo paidal chal raha hai. Padadhyaksh. Somebody is looking after the cavalry, head of the cavalry. Ashwadhyaksh. Ashwa means ghoda. Then war chariot, Rathadhyaksh. Elephant, group of elephant, head of the group of elephant. Hastadhyaksh. Right? Somebody is taking care of the equipment as well. So same structure, same thing we will observe here in the army as well. Right? Also, it talks about fort. How to make a fort. What should be the structure of the fort? So there should be, a fort surrounded by. So we are talking about how to make a fort. Fort is anta. Fort. So now you can make a fort and then make 3 moats out of the fort. 3 ditches. Right? And dig these 3 moats so that nobody can go inside. Now, after digging, put water inside. Fill these spaces with water. Let's say here as well. So now it's tough to penetrate. One thing. It should look beautiful as well. So what you can do, there are 3 moats. Right? And then put a lotus. Right, and add lotus to it so that this will look beautiful, right? And to add to the beauty, what you can do to make it more beautiful, you can add crocodiles. Now it is very beautiful. Understood? And now it's very, very beautiful. Now you think 10 times before going and swimming. And otherwise people are thinking that they can go and swim, right? It's like a holiday place now. No, it's not a holiday place. There are crocodiles. And then you can have, some gate or something to manage this, of course. And then you can have your army. The whole army. So this is how you should create a fort. If you're fighting, right, you can fight outside your army. Otherwise, army can also be inside. No issues. Or it will be inside, of course. Plus, they're saying that you should have enough supplies. Enough supplies inside the fort. Plus, you should have some escape routes. Suppose you want to run, then you should have some escape routes. So this is how you should plan some antaha, basically fort. So they have also, told us. Chanakya also has described how to form a fort. Right. Then this army should be recruited from all the varnas. There is no mention of any discrimination saying that only Kshatriya should be hired. There should be hiring from all the varnas. Right now, this makes sense as well. There are so many things, there's so many points which we can say and why it makes sense. Right. For example, in Ashoka time Buddhism is there. Right. So they should not discriminate on the basis of varna. Second, Chandragupta Maurya himself is not a Kshatriya, so technically he should not be doing this. Fourth, Magadha is not in the core Aryavat part. Right. They're supporting Jainism, Buddhism, and all. So anyway, they should not be discriminating like this. They should not be discriminating on the basis of the varna. Right. So there are so many things which you can say that we don't expect such kind of discrimination, varna-based discrimination over here. Understood? Yeah. So they will be hired from all the varnas, and they will be the head of the army called as Senani, Senapati, etc. Senani. So this was also confirmed by. By the way, there will be a lot of frontier force. Again, not very important, but yes, okay. There will be a lot of frontier force, right? Frontier force as well. So frontier force will be under some officer, right? Suppose this is the empire, and there is a fort. So this fort will be under some officer, who will be called as Anta Mahamatta. Again, Mahamatta, some officer. Anta matlab fort, Amatya matlab officer, Mahamatta matlab senior officer. So fort ka senior officer, fort senior officer. Simple, right? Now you can easily get this. So yeah, so Megasthenes has also confirmed this that Patliputra was surrounded by deep ditches, had towers and all, watchtowers, etc. Had 64 gates. So a rough estimate of the town of Patliputra might have been something like this. I'm not saying that you should know this, but just to have that kind of clarity, how they were planning or how they might have planned the whole city, right? So there is one side you find Shudras, one side you find Kshatriyas, and other side you find Brahmanas. Right? This is the front side, Brahma gate. Right? This is Yama gate. Right? And all the Vaishyas are here. So all the business takes place in this area. Grain merchant, other merchant, factory merchant, etc., etc. Then there is restaurant as well. Restaurant, entertainment, Inox, everything here. Right? On the sides we have guilds. Right? Washerman guild, tailor guild, etc., etc. Right? And similarly, your center is royal residence. Royal residence, there's armory, then commodity market, etc., etc. Yeah. Here, jewelers are there. Jewelers, workers in metal on the one side. So it's very, very segregated, very sorted, planned type of, you can say, fort. Inside the fort, we'll be finding that such kind of cities planned. Right now, you say, sir, you just said that there is no discrimination on the basis of water system. Yes, from the state side, there is none. The state is not discriminating, but people do, align to their own varnas. Right? Brahmins will try to flock together, Kshatriya will try to flock together, Vaishyas will have their own shops together, markets together, and then Shudras will also be left with their, with their own type. So there is no discrimination as such, but you can say society will align themselves. The fourth part we have done. Coming to the fifth part, the most important part. Now, before we go into this, again, so in history, except for modern India, although modern India will also be talking about similar things, but in ancient and medieval, we will be talking in any era. We will be talking about few things. So in any era, so in a time frame, in a particular time frame, or in a particular era, we will talk about first thing, dynasty, political, you can say story, dynasty, right? Second thing, we'll talk about administration. Third thing, right? Third thing, we'll talk about economy. Fourth thing, I think I've already told this, right? But anyway, fourth is society. And fifth is cultural contribution. So if you know about all these elements for all the time frames you are done, right? So cultural contribution. So again, we had started with the sources of history and Chandragupta Maurya, Bindusara, and Ashoka. Right? Now we are discussing administration. But within administration, now we are going to discuss economy. Right? So next is Kosha. Yeah, a quick chat, 60 seconds. Is everyone aligned? Yeah, shall we? Okay, thank you. Supply is technically to have food and all. Okay, thank you. So why Brahmins existed when they're follower of Buddhism, right? Brahmins will exist, right? Brahmins will not disappear. Why will they disappear? Society is there. In Magad, every Brahmin will disappear. That cannot be the case, right? Right? King is a follower of Buddhism. People are not the follower of Buddhism, so they will exist, right? Okay, so now let's start Kosha, treasury. Right? This is the most challenging or interesting part of this discussion, right? Kosha, treasury. Now, one thing we must understand before we talk about Kosha. First thing I want to discuss is expenditure, right? And expenditure. Now you find that at this point, such a huge state will have a lot of expenditure. Right? For example, such a big army, such a vast standing army, right? And such a big standing army. Then these many officers, right? Then Dhamma, preaching of Dhamma and all, right? Then there will be a lot of grants given to priests, monks, etc. So this means that state needs a lot of money. So if expenditure is high, that means you need to earn this much. You need to have a lot of revenue. Right? Now let's get back to revenue other part. Okay, so Kosha. So now we understand that there is a huge requirement of money right now. Right? And being an agrarian country, the main source of revenue, if we need revenue over here, the main source of revenue is agriculture. Right? Other one is of course your artisan trade, etc., etc. Right? They will also provide. It's not like they will not be there, but the main source of revenue is agriculture. And this administration, right, will find that agriculture they will try to diversify. The first thing they will do, of course, the basic part is from the peasants. Suppose if you are a farmer, then you will have to give taxes, right? So you will have to give bhaga. You will have to give like 1/6 of the produce. Right? Sometimes you will also have to give something extra, called as bali, something extra. Why? The state needs that. So they will come back with some kind of cess. Understood? They will even put taxes, called as kar, on fruits. not only on proper जो है अच्छा by the way so bhaga 1/6 suppose if I'm a farmer right and I have grown wheat over here right so let's say wheat produced was 300 kg that means 1/6 is like what 50 kg yeah है ना 50 kg of the wheat will go to state that is the bhaga that is 1/6 this much I have to give to the state now 50 kg can be given as cash or kind both are fine cash kind both are fine right if possible give it as a cash like Panchmal coins if not then give it as a kind suppose if I give as a kind suppose if I'm a peasant and I give as a kind that means this will actually go to granary right this will be a stock this will be a stock maybe used during famine condition we have already seen that suppose if there is a famine there is a shortage it can be utilized so the first thing expenditure is very high the state is bound to create such sources or bound to create more sources now this one is the basic source any state will do this correct all the states will do this in fact they will provide one extra support over here they will provide this what if we help you with the irrigation we help you with the canal and all we'll give you some pipe and all and you'll get irrigation right then what will happen you will have more production but what for us we will have more tax this will be called as udaka bhaga why because state is helping with the production same seed which was producing 300 kg with this irrigation support it will produce 600 kg so udaka bhaga of course they will have more share right they will like we have supported you so for this irrigation for this help and will charge for this help so this is how state will try to increase the productivity will try to have more money from the people but this is not sufficient sometimes what happens your expenditure is very high and your pocket money is low then you need to figure out things you go for tuitions right you say that okay I'll teach tuition and earn something same is the case over here so now they will brainstorm what to do now right this is not sufficient next step the next step in agriculture is some awesome idea called as shunya nivesh NIVESHA shunya nivesh means zero investment shunya means zero nivesh means investment zero investment so now we will have a scheme right a scheme running by the state where state will get a lot of things by zero investment do not try it at home it is very dangerous so what they started doing is let's suppose this land is not being cultivated this is state's land what they will do they will have a lot of prisoner of war slaves right they will invest these prisoner of war or slaves over here will there be any wages no there will be no wages what will pay only food they will work for food life that's it food air life this much is good enough to pay them right and because they are prisoner of war they are slaves they so for example from Kalinga Ashoka got some 1.5 lakh people right 1.5 lakh prisoner of war and now they will do agriculture they will produce a lot of things right and they will come to what granary this will also come to the stock of Ashoka so because their expenditure is very high they're bound to innovate like this such kind of initiative such kind of innovation is required then again Ashoka checked is this enough they require no they understand no this is still not enough we need to do something else what okay so then somebody told Ashoka basically modern empire that there is a concept of shared cropping we'll see that state will see that they have more land so they will call some budding entrepreneur some budding farm entrepreneur who will say that state will say that okay you will take 50% of the city cars 50% of the share land is not for example I had gone to the state right and now I will have a deal with the state and the deal says that 50% of the produce will be given to me and 50% will go to the state now why I will agree because land is not mine right state is supporting me the state has given a land to me my situation is much better than these right they got what they got food air and water that's it right life I will get 50% so I'll be very happy so I'll be called as Ardha City Cars again this is still in practice this is called as Adhiya in our gaon in our village it is called as Adhiya what happened suppose if I have let's say land in my village right but I'm teaching I don't have time to go into my land so what I'll do I'll give it on contract 50% contract or let's say whatever deal I have so now the other person will do all the tilling and all and I'll get some share into it right something like that so Ardha City Cars so initially it might be like 50% but later on it is Suavio Pagivinis very tough spelling man Suavio Pagivinis right Suavio Pagivinis now Suavio Pagivinis is like next time suppose next season I'm called again I say sir 50% is not making sense I'll not do it for 50% I'm going home right so now Shaka will say hey just a second can you do it for 60% I say no not 60% he says 71 I'll get deal so now it will be like more than this 50% right it will be like more than 50% this is like negotiated 50% is not enough I'll get more right last resort still if money is not sufficient over here the last resort if there's some land is left there will be a concept of land grant if there is a land we are not getting deal we don't have enough slaves to till that and there is no peasant to till that so it is like fallow it is like waste now so what to do donate it to some Brahman or monk they will do the cultivation at least somebody will cultivate part of the state some money will circulate so it's okay let it happen so this is how in agriculture they will do anything possible under the sun to get money out of it right they will try to utilize all the land right when your revenue when your expenditure is very high you are bound to play like this now next is the one first was agriculture they tried everything right so they have tried everything revenue now let's talk about the economy other part trade other part in the trade part yeah so Udak Bhaga is 1/5 to 1/3 of the produce okay so Shunya Nivesh we are discussing right we have done share cropping etc done yeah one thing I forgot to mention just a thing coming back this Shunya Nivesh no the prisoner of war cannot be left like go and you can say go and cultivate right that cannot be the way somebody has to own this some officer has to own this again which officer Sita Adhyaksh it will be the duty of Sita Adhyaksh to ensure that Shunya Nivesh happens right we get a lot of output out of the Shunya Nivesh okay so now after this let's talk about trade and economy right trade and economy let's talk about trade now in our mind we understand that what can be done what is your expectation from trade your expectation is sir we know what you are going to say you will tell that there were artisans right there were artisans and these articles will pay something as per the article right whatever they are producing they will pay something right so yeah you're right they will pay in cash or they can pay in kind but how they can pay in kind there is a concept of forced labor which T. So suppose if I'm an artisan, I make chariot. So in a month, maybe one day, I have to work free for the king. Right? So that is also kind because one day they have to pay me. So assume that I have given it back. So that is also kind. Right? So yeah, the forcible. So cash or kind I have to pay. I will also be paying. Now, Arthashastra also talks about wage labor, karmakara. Karmakara is wage labor. I take like, we started this class 15 minutes late, I'm sorry, but let's continue for 5-10 minutes more. Right, okay, let's continue like 15 minutes more. Please, thank you. Okay, then it also talks about slave labor, ahitikas. So we were talking about slave labor only. There are slave labors as well. Slaves being used as laborers, we just saw Shuman Nivesh. So these slaves will be called as ahitikas. Right, okay. So this is one part, we'll be getting money out of them. Right, they will be paying something we'll be getting out of them. Second, do we understand that here also there will be training, or let's write guild first, guild. Because there will be a lot of artisans and merchants. So again, there will be grouping. Guild is common to every era. Everywhere we find guild. So guild is a common thing, right? Guild. So yes, guild will be there. Also, it will be called as Shreni. Their head will be called as Jeshtaka. Right? And there will be guild or Shreni or group of merchants, also called as Pugas. They are what? They are group of merchants. Right? Now, while coming inside the city or going out of the city or selling, they will pay what? They pay what? Duty. Right? So basically, you can say toll. Fair toll. And while selling and all, if it is exported, then some custom duty. Yeah, so we will have some custom duty and toll as well. Okay, so yeah, so this is the one source. But additionally, what shocks us at this point, we realize that there is textile manufacturing. Now you will say that there is nothing so shocking in this, right? Textile is in our blood. You only told us, right? There is textile manufacturing in Varanasi, right? Then there are more centers like Bengal, Mathura, Gandhara, Ujjain. So we are amazing when it comes to textile manufacturing. Textile is like a favorite thing, right? We love making textiles, right? So yeah, textile manufacturing is basic, but there is nothing shocking over here. There is nothing surprising over here. What surprises is there is public sector unit. State is also participating in the economy. State will have some public sector units. States will have some state-run machineries. So PSU matlab state run only, of course, state run, but don't type PSU in the examination if required, right? State run. So there will be some textile manufacturing under the state, and this will be under Sutradhyaksh. Right? So now you can understand that the money required is so much that even the public sector unit is required, and a state has to participate in the economy to earn money, to have enough money for all the expenditure, army, to land grant, to bureaucracy, to salary and everything. Right? Again. Similarly, for mining and metallurgy, we have Akaradhyaksh. And there will be few things. There will be state monopoly. The state will say that there are few things which only belong to us. For example, again, what are you expecting? Liquor, iron, right? And iron, liquor. Then your forest, pastures. The state has monopoly. It's not like people can go and do anything. So even forest is under state, right? This is under government. Pastures are under government, right? Mines are under government. Understood? Right, so state is properly participating in the economy. Few things even the state has monopolized, that this belongs to us. The whole revenue from iron should come to us. Iron is super important. So there should be a proper person, Lohadhyaksh, if you remember, right? Lohadhyaksh, and he will ensure Lohadhyaksh, because iron is required by army, iron is required by agriculture, iron is required by artisans. So he will ensure the how much to allocate to which body or to which wing, how much. Right, so there should be a proper your Lohadhyaksh for this. Okay, last. Okay. So other than that, we'll see that the Takshila. So Takshila is also trade-wise connected to the Central Asia and the Middle East part, right? Then Bharuch is important seaport, very important seaport. Bharuch, right? So seaport, and trade is happening over here. Similarly, Patna is important trading center connected by land and river route. Similarly, this Tamralitti, West Bengal, this is also seaport. So Tamralitti, we have already seen that they had a navy and all. Right, Tamralitti, West Bengal. They were connected. Right, they were from Bharuch. It was going to again give Persian Gulf and all. Right, from here it was going to Southeast Asia and all. Right, so it was connected well with respect to trade. So now you can understand how they were able to manage such kind of expenditure. Right, and not only army payment and all, but also they were constructing roads, buildings, forts, right, or repair work and all. So that is the reason their expenditure was very, very high, and they needed this kind of money. So they did everything possible. Right, they did whatever was possible in agriculture, whatever was possible in economy. They participated in the economy. Right, even in agriculture they did everything. And this is the first and last time by the way we are observing this, and that is the reason that we appreciate Arthashastra, we appreciate Ashoka. Right, this is the first and last time. Nobody else, we will hardly find an example of public sector unit in entire history. Right, in entire ancient India, entire medieval India, right, you'll hardly find an example where you can talk about public sector unit, where you can talk about state participating. So this is the classic example technical. Right, and now you can understand that Chanakya creating this booklet, creating this treaties in that era, how important is this? Right, few things, or basically most of the things is something which we appreciate even today. Right, we do today as well. Right, and so yeah, so this is the economy part. So we are done with economy. Next is your next we'll go into state participation, state control. So yeah, so now even coinage. So the coin will be now minted by king himself. It is not backed by, or basically it is not by the trade organization or by the merchant of guild. It will be from the Mauryan Empire directly. So they will have some peacock, elephant and all, some crescent and all. Right, some crescent, yes. So this is basically Mauryan Empire coin. So they will start minting their own coin. They will not depend upon anyone else. This makes sense as well. Nandas are making their own coin. So it is like not practical at all if they will not make the coin. So they should be making the coin as well. So yeah, the state has participated and the state will make their own coin. We'll start from Dandan Bala tomorrow. Right, we'll start the discussion from here tomorrow. Thanks a lot for understanding. Yeah, thank you for being patient. So yeah. See again in history. So the history is not about story battles. The history is not only about you know what Ashoka did to their brothers. History is about understanding how our administration has evolved, how our economy has evolved, how our culture has evolved, right? And that is the reason UPSC has added this culture topic so that you can appreciate the these ideas coming into system, how they all came, and you'll be able to retain much more if you start appreciating it. If you start taking like, oh, this happened at this point. Right? It's like now I know where this happened. Like so many questions which we ask on a daily basis and which you were asking in the starting of the class, in the starting of the course. When this happened, when this happened. Gradually it will be answered. And if you appreciate that part, okay, this is how this happened. Right? Basically, I was something like that. That if this lesson, if you treat it like a fact, Saptang theory 7 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, then you will hardly be able to retain. And the purpose is not to give this. Purpose, if this was the purpose, then I would have given it text format. There are 7 names and meanings. You go and read. Right? Let's go ahead with the story. But the idea is to understand the system so that we can apply and compare. Now you will be able to compare Satavahanas. Now you'll be able to compare even Akbar with Ashoka. Right? Because you know the system now. Understood? So if I'm not the believer of going a lot behind knowledge for UPSC preparation. You should limit yourself, but at least you should appreciate that much into. You should at least go that much into the subject so that there are no boundaries in the subject. Right? You have to strive for breaking the boundaries, that there should be no boundary between history and politics. There should be no boundary between history and economy or history and society. And if history becomes your base, then every subject looks easy. But our expectation in history is slightly different, right? Our expectation is there will be kill people and all. Our expectation is different. Right? So try to understand this part. Try to build administration or basically the thought process. Try to understand the whole perception over it. If you get that, things will become very easy for you, not only in history but in other subjects as well. I hope you got that. So I take doubts. Those who want to drop off, please feel free to drop off now. Okay. Guilds are same as today's pressure group. No, it is more like today's FICCI. FICCI is also pressure group, or basically Chamber of Commerce and all. Like that, yes. The group of merchants and all. No, it's okay. Let's continue tomorrow only. I understand. I don't want to rush things, so it's okay. We'll do it tomorrow. I'll shift the class time to 9 p.m. It's not possible, guys. I'm really sorry. It is not possible to shift to 9 p.m. Right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay. What kind of evidence of Arthashastra? So suppose few things match with Megasthenes Charu. Right? Megasthenes also confirmed that there were ditches, there were palaces and all. Right? And second, we have like coins, etc. A lot of coins we have, which shows some kind of connection or treasury was there. Then we found Kumrahar Palace. Right? So palace is something close to what he has mentioned. Megasthenes and he has mentioned. Arthashastra has mentioned. Yeah, so that's how we understand. Also, there is doubt. It's not like okay, this was 100% applicable. This is very much in theory. So a lot of things, might not be exactly what we are discussing. Might not be, but we must understand that this is the thought process of that time, and this must be implemented to some extent, right? Let's say 80% only, but even then it's great, right? Even if 50% of this was implemented, even then it's like amazing system. Do we need to study everything? See, this is ancient India, right? So ancient India is the build-up of so many things. It is build-up of culture, it is build-up of medieval, it is build-up of your society, build-up of economy and all. And that is the reason ancient India logically takes time. It should take time. If we hurry up now, if we rush things, then the required, you can say, the foundation for all the other subjects as well will be destroyed. So it is important to actually, the market perception is wrong about ancient India. Normally you will see, I think me and one more teacher is there. We are the only teacher in the country who teach ancient for 50 years, right? So because it is required, it is very much required. It creates base, not 50 exactly, but yes, more than 40 years. Because by the end I will complete this course, you'll have a lot of understanding of the subject, not only the subject but the other subjects as well, right? So yes, so gradually you will understand that. I've seen initially, by the way, your batch is much more, you can say, understanding, right? And you already, what I understand from the chat and all, you already have a good foundation somehow. Maybe you all have read NCERT or something, but you all have better understanding. Right? In the other batches, it was tough to explain that why we are studying this much, right? Why is it required? The first thing, of course, the questions will be asked from anywhere. So it is not like you can leave things in between. Right? Second, you need to build the story. Okay. It is not at all hard, guys, right? It is new for you, right? It is like when in class 11th, basically whenever you encounter a new subject, you feel a bit of resistance, like this is a new concept, a new perception, but gradually you will be into it, right? And then you'll understand things, you'll start appreciating things. Titanium, yes, okay. Durga Fort image. Yeah, Gandhi, what is your question? Just a second. Yeah, okay, this one. World civilization के लिए कोई book बता दीजिए. World civilization, world history I can say that world history for normal you can refer world history, but it is not required, right? It is not at all required. Yeah, please feel free to drop off. I'm just having final discussion with you all, right? Those who want to have some doubt discussion can stay. Otherwise, please feel free to leave. It's okay. I'm done with the content. Yeah, please go. See, what I teach is close to basic, but exactly not basic, right? So if you are able to understand everything in my class, then it's good, right? Awesome, right? Even if you're not studied ancient India, NCERT, it's fine. But if you find some resistance, if you find that you're not able to get what I'm saying, then I suggest that you can go through NCERT once, right? And though I try to make it very basic, I start from start only, right? But still, sometimes when you don't have any idea about the topic, then it becomes tough, even though it is not tough. Understood. So then I suggest a quick reading. I don't want you to spend a lot of time in NCERT. It is not that fruitful. But go through the NCERT, just skim through the NCERT, especially if possible, go to the old NCERT. Okay, I will see options and tips for answer writing. What I will teach answer writing in modern India. To some extent, I've already started in Sankalp batches. Right, in both the Sankalp batches I'm teaching, I've taught one class answer writing, and then I took one evaluation class as well. Right, I do the same with you guys as well. Other than that, there'll be official answer writing sessions from PW. This was my initiative. I started, right, because I do take answer writing sessions while teaching modern India, because modern India without answer writing does not make much sense to me. So that was the reason I started. But yeah, so with you guys also, I'll do that. Okay, thank you, Shalini. During the time Ashoka, mostly they practice Buddhism. Why in courts of ministers? Why in the council of ministers? There is a See, the government will be secular, right? The government is not worried about Brahmins and everything, right? But Purohit is the practice. Priest, Purohit is the practice of having a counselor with you, right? They will have that counselor with the king, somebody who gives counsel. I mean, it is not necessary that the person is Brahman, not necessary. But maybe he's Brahman, right? Not necessary. Priyanshu, I have not seen as a book there. Do we need to remember all the terms? No, you need to recognize all the terms. Only the recognition is important. You need not remember all the terms. Remembering is not important. No, the question is, why does Ashoka expanded in southern part of India? Everybody expands. Everybody expands to the maximum extent possible. Ankita, I'm not able to get you out. Ankita, too many ways repeat. Ankita, go through the recording once. Right? And if there's a doubt, you can ask. Right? There's a lot of screen time of the other learners as well. So repeating is not possible in the class. Right? But you can ask doubt, what is the issue? What is if something is there which you cannot understand. Okay, so yeah, so somebody was asking something. Southern part. Yeah, so everybody tries to expand to whatever extent possible. More expansion means more land means more agriculture means more revenue. Right? Because again, you get more resources. Like maybe if you expand, you get more ports. If you get more ports, there will be more trade and all. Right? So yeah, it will be super helpful. Art and culture model से पहले होगा बाद में कोडा I'm not very sure, depends upon the PW plan. I think you all have PW plan. See if my name is there, I'll teach whatever time it is, but it will be definitely after medieval India. Yeah, anyway, obviously after medieval India. So after this we'll continue with the medieval India, and then we'll go in art and culture. Prelims and mains question. Prelims questions, PYQs we'll see after we have finished this chapter. We'll talk about PYQs and all. After every classes we have DPPs, we'll have some discussion on the questions as well. Okay. By the way, I have this habit of disabling the chats, right? I have started this practice recently because I realized that there are in other batches. In your batches, I find that you all are very, you can say, studious and you hardly disturb the class. But I'm sorry, I have this habit now. From last 2 months, I'm having this habit where I disable the chat because I find that there are students who discuss something which is not at all relevant to the discussion, right? And the chat, if it is on, I want to understand, what you all are feeling. So that curiosity comes in me, and then it disturbs the whole flow. So that is the reason I've started following this practice. After every 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I do start the chat again and have a quick discussion, and we can have such a discussion at the end of the class. Yeah, which doubt? I didn't get your doubt, I guess. Yeah, so I want everybody to focus on the class, and that is the reason I keep the chat disabled during the whole class while I'm teaching. What comes under medieval part? Medieval part. Okay, we'll see what comes under medieval part, Priyanshi, don't worry. Right, focus on whatever we have studied till now. We'll discuss medieval. From 600 BC to 1707 is medieval. How to make notes? Just write down whatever I'm writing. Right, try to make these mind maps, timelines. Right, and timelines are super helpful, very very helpful. So yeah, so they're super helpful, and if you make that later on, you can upgrade more things in the notes, and that's how you can revise very very quickly. Yeah, Khan Ramazan timing, I'm not very sure what is the Ramazan timing. Class timing will be same. About essays, I'm not taking essay writing, right? So let me not comment on that. Let the essay teacher, or whoever teaches essay ethics, let them comment on that. Why Ashoka can't capture most of the southern part? Is anyone ruling other than warriors? No, there are no. Yes, there are very very small kingdoms, Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. So we'll discuss Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas in Sangam. Why he didn't capture those areas? It was mainly because it was a very hilly terrain and very very far from the home, and that is the reason. That might have been the reason that he has not expanded. Otherwise, I'm not very sure why he could not expand into Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas. Okay. Vinika Seni, test performance was not very good, so my suggestion is revise more, right? Analyze why you were not able to perform in the test. Did you revise things? Did you make timelines? Did you understand the flow, how things are moving from one zone to another, right? And it's okay initially, if you're not able to figure it out, it's okay, but then revise, then start making timelines on your own without seeing your notes and all, right? And then you'll have better command on the timeline. You'll have better command on the subject. That will be super helpful, Vinika. Okay, timing, I think that's not going to change in timing. This time is like ideal time, 5:30 to 7:30. It's like the best time. So see, even if I extend, right, it will not go beyond 8 or something. If I start extending after 8:30, it will go like 9 o'clock or something, and then it affects the schedule of the other day, right? So that is the reason it's good to have this type of timing. 5:30 to 7:30 is good actually for everyone, not only for me but for the students, everyone. Sometimes Cholas and Pandavas were super powerful. Cholas are powerful in medieval era, right? It's in medieval era, not in the ancient era. Ancient, they were very very small kingdoms. Rahul, you're saying concise notes, you're actually talking about micro notes, right? So concise notes technically you don't make in the first go. In the first go you can expand, but maybe in the third reading or the fourth reading, when you know what you forget and what you retain is fine. But what you forget, you need to figure out how to summarize that part, how to make the summary or the synopsis of the chapter. So that can only happen when you are doing it for the fourth time or maybe third time, and then go for micro notes. Do not try making very very concise note in the first go. Try to make you try to expand as much as required. I'm not saying as much as possible. As much as required you can expand, but later on you'll be able to figure out what all things is obvious to you, and what is few things which you might look tough today will become gradually obvious, right? So after some time you don't have to go through the obvious things. For example, today timelines feel like you're from this era to this era. You need to remember this is 500 BC or this is Mahabharata. Gradually like, this is 500 BC. So something like that will happen. A few things will be like very very obvious, and you don't have to worry about that. So micro notes do not come in the first go. They come around maybe fifth reading or sixth reading where you understand this is something which bothers me. So I need to write it down. This is how I should make a mind map. 6 hours plus classes are there. Study for 8 to 9 hours, no, right? Achha, by the way, 6 hours classes are there for a very very short duration while the optional courses are on, right? Once the optionals are over, then there is only 4 hour class. So this fight is only for few months, and then you'll be done with the optional. The core subjects will also be completed, so it will not be that tough. So right now I would suggest try investing more hours, try investing like 9 hours or 10 hours on the daily basis, and gradually first of all you get habituated to it. Second, gradually time the video hours will reduce, and then you can invest more in revision, practice, etc. Okay, hard copy booklet PW is not providing hard copy booklet. It is only soft copy of booklet, right? It was never discussed that it will be hard copy, right? It will be soft copy only. Please note this. Okay guys, so I think okay guys, let's meet again tomorrow. We'll continue our discussion. Okay, no, got it. I've already communicated this thing to the team, right? And team said that yes, we'll look into it. It will be as per their plan, right? I'm not involved in that part. So I've communicated this part that there's a request of mathematics optional. There were a few students, in other batch also who had requested. So yes, I've communicated this thing, and PW will go as per the plan, right? So I'm not sure, I'm not aware whether they're planning it or not, but yes, if yes, then they'll do it, right? Okay. Should we go ahead with the daily class notes? Yes, daily class notes are good enough, sufficient, right? And you can go ahead with the daily class notes. There is no issue as such. Right? It is complete. All the things are there in the daily class notes. If you find that something is missing in the daily class notes, please do that, right? Yeah. Okay. Foothills of Himalayas. What is it? What is there in Foothills of Himalayas? चलो ओके गाइस, चलो सी यू अगेन टुमारो, राइट है ना जो है। तो गाइस पीडब्ल्यू डाउट्स एंड यू कैन आस्क हिस्ट्री डाउट्स, related doubts to me, right? Manthan magazine, yes, okay, I'll communicate this as well. I was not sure that if it has not come out yet. Okay. Daily class and running notes, maybe you can use daily notes, or running notes help you retain much more. So my suggestion is always go for running notes. Always scribble during the class. Always make timelines with me or with any other teacher, whoever, whatever they are teaching. Chalo, okay guys, bye, take care, good night, and do study. See you tomorrow. Bye.